welcome back to Grave Humanity Podcast, Episode 3. I'm sorry, I am 3 weeks behind. I have had a crazy 3 weeks. I'll just do you a quick recap. My kid got sick. That was it. I'm just kidding. He got sick about 3 weeks ago. And it wasn't anything crazy. It was just kind of like a lingering cough and snotty nose, which it has gotten colder here in the Sunshine State. So I just kind of figured it was normal. 3 weeks has gone by now and he is still coughing. He had a fever on Saturday. And then he went to school today because he felt a lot better. He seemed a lot better. He was fever free. And then I get a call from their school nurse's office telling me to pick him up because he had a fever. Which no offense to the nurse's office, but when I picked him up, he was like, "Where are we going? Are we going home?" And I was like, "Dude, you have a fever." And he was like, "Yeah, I told him I wasn't feeling well." And then he acted completely normal. Fever free. The whole entire time I had him. So either he somehow spiked his temperature up while they took it, or he was playing outside, got a little hot, because that's what kids do, and then they took his temperature. Either way, I know he is getting sick, he is getting over his sickness. It's just frustrating. Not on the school nurse. I'm not digging her. I'm just frustrated with how much sickness we have dealt with in this household because of my son going to school. This is his first year in school, and he has been sick so much. And I understand it's from all the kids' germs. I was not prepared. People don't prepare you for these things. So if you have a kid and they haven't started school yet and they're about to, get ready. Your kid is going to be sick unless he has like an amazing immune system and just will never get sick. Then I would consider yourself lucky. But anyways, so my kid came home from school sick like 3 weeks ago. We've all been kind of a little bit under the weather, but this past week especially, I have not been feeling myself. 2 weeks ago, actually the weekend of Halloween, we had family over, which was another reason why I did not do an episode that week. And then when we went out trick-or-treating the next day, my son felt sick again, like worse. So, we have not been 100%. I'm sorry that I am behind, but life kind of got in the way, and I had to prioritize a little bit, and I hope you understand. But that being said, I am here recording, excited to be here. I am a little tired, I'm gonna be honest with you. But I am going to try and give all my energy for this episode. Also, I recorded episode 1 and episode 2, and I am hoping to release it late tomorrow, early Wednesday. Did I say bonus episodes? I don't know if I said bonus episodes. But I am hoping to release them late Tuesday, early Wednesday. After I get this episode out into the world for all to enjoy. But yes, that is a little synopsis of what my life has been like in the past 3 weeks. I hope everyone has been doing better than me. I hope no one has gotten cold. I realize that some places are already snowing and it's not even December yet. Some places snowed on Halloween. It wasn't even November when places started to snow. Disgusting. Anyways, so this week, where are we this week? Arizona, right? Arizona episode 3, yes. Arizona episode 3. Sorry about that. I am prepared, but not really prepared. So if you see me looking over to the side, it's because I'm reading my notes. Don't judge. I cannot be memorizing all this shit. Anyways, thanks for tuning back in. Sorry about the little snippet in the beginning, but let's do the damn thing. All right, starting this week's episode off, we are in Arizona, like I just said and figured out 2 seconds ago. And we first story. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna be struggling, so don't judge. First story that we're gonna be looking into is Robert William Fisher. Alrighty, a little early life for Robert William Fisher. He was born on April 13th, 1961, in Brooklyn, New York. I put Brooklyn, NYC, and I'm confused now. Brooklyn, New York. You know what I'm talking about. His father, William Fisher, was a banker, and his mother, Jan Howell, was the mom. I actually have no backstory for her. Sorry about that. Robert had 2 sisters. The parents divorced in 1976 when Robert was 15. At this time, Robert and his siblings went to live with their father. They attended Saguaro High School in Tucson, Arizona. And according to friends and relatives, the divorce was extremely difficult for Robert and had a long-lasting effect on him. Friends from school said that he was very bitter towards the event, and they could clearly see that it affected him in his life, which I feel like we're starting to see a little bit of a trend here. But moving on. Now, going to his adult life, Robert enlisted into the United States Navy and attempted to become a Navy SEAL, but he did not make it. I'm seeing another trend. I'm just kidding. I was in the military. I am not a serial killer, so what does that really say? He was a outdoor enthusiast, i.e. hunting and fishing. Robert worked as a firefighter in California, but had to retire early due to a back injury. After this, he moved his family to Arizona and started his career in the medical field as a surgical catheter technician. Yikes. And a respiratory therapist. Robert also worked as a weed sprayer for a little bit in the 1980s, and an employer recalled that Robert was a quiet guy and suffered from a serious back injury, but he was, other than that, a good employee. No complaints. Robert got married in 1987 to Mary Cooper. Robert was an abusive and extremely controlling husband towards his family and Mary as well. He and Mary would fight about sex and money, and because of this, Mary had to take a job as like a plan B just in case. And she was concerned about how he was. He once sprayed his wife. Oh no, I lost my page. He once sprayed his wife with a hose under the assumption that Mary had talked back or spoken out of turn, so he just hosed her down. Mary and Robert had 2 kids, Bobby and Brittany. Robert was embarrassed that his son did not like outdoorsy things like he did, hunting and fishing. And he once tried to teach both Brittany and Bobby how to swim by throwing them off the boat that they were on while they were fishing. And his hunting partner that was there at the time, Sandy, was there and said that they were crying. Brittany was screaming. And Robert finally pulled them back into the boat and said, "Now there, how's that?" I don't know if that's really good parenting, but back at home, Robert wouldn't allow any of their walls to be painted and kept them all white. Only a handful of pictures were allowed to be hung up. Even the blankets that Mary's mother made for them were sent to the closet to be tucked away and never was allowed to hang them up. Robert would continually ask Mary, "Isn't it time to get rid of your stuff?" So she was definitely under some strict rules there. According to Jenner, what in the world? Ginny Cooper. My goodness, I just merged her name together. According to Ginny Cooper, Mary's mother, Robert would not socialize with family because of fear of getting close to people and then losing him, as in the divorce that took place when he was younger. A lot of people, including Robert's mother, noted that their marriage was very similar to that of Robert's early childhood family dynamic. So obviously some trauma there. Robert's friends who would go hunting with him noted even from a young adulthood that he showed some disturbing behavior. One time, after killing an elk, he began smearing the blood all over his face. Another instance, he creeped up behind a family that was having a picnic and emptied his gun into the air, scaring the absolute shit out of them. There was another time where he shot a stray pit bull, and he claimed that it was because it had attacked his lab, but police think that he just shot the dog just because. That's not serial killer energy. I don't know what it is. Robert was an active member of the Scottsdale Baptist Church men's ministry, but started withdrawing from the church a few months before the murders took place. In 1998, friends of Robert said that he had attempted suicide due to his marriage. In the same year, Mary and Robert started going to marriage counseling. December 2000, he told coworkers that he had a one-night affair with a prostitute and was worried that Mary would find out because he had a UTI after that left him ill for several days. A former neighbor, Wade, said that they did not have a happy marriage. They constantly screamed and everyone could hear it. They never really heard him scream but could clearly hear his wife. Neighbors could hear Robert say things like, "You're worthless. I could have done better than you. We should get a divorce." Robert had told friends that he was going to renew his faith and commitment to marriage because he couldn't live without his family. And some people speculated that it was possibly hinting that he would consider suicide over divorcing his wife. Psychologists say that it is not uncommon for individuals who were traumatized by divorce at a young age to have an intense fear of loss of a significant other or a partner. So this is normal. Get therapy. Now, on April 9th, 2001, at around 10 p.m., neighbors reported hearing a loud argument coming from the Fishers' residence. 10 hours later, at 8:42 a.m., their house exploded into flames. Firefighters were immediately notified of the explosion. The explosion was strong enough to crumble the front wall, which was made of brick, and it also shook the neighboring homes in a half-mile area. Prior to firefighters arriving, the neighbors took matters into their own hands and tried to keep the fire under control with their own garden hoses. Firefighters kept the flames from spreading to any of the other neighboring homes, but a few other explosions, possibly caused by ammunition that was still in the house, went off, causing them to keep their distance. The gas line from the house in the back had been pulled back. The accumulating gas was ignited by a candle that Robert had allegedly lit. Waiting for the gas to build up before reaching the flame gave Robert enough time to get a head start. Roughly 10 hours is what the firefighters are saying, to escape the police. Police think that Robert set the explosion in the attempts to hide all the evidence of his crimes and to potentially lead police to believe that he had also died in the house. Investigators found the burned bodies of Mary, Brittany, and Bobby laying in bed. Police think that Robert had murdered his family because he couldn't lose Mary if she were to divorce him and couldn't bear to put his children through what he had experienced. Police theorize that the murders took place between 9:30 and 10:15 p.m. Around 10:43 p.m. the night before, Robert was caught on camera at an ATM withdrawing $280. Mary's Toyota was in the background that they could see from the ATM camera. There is a possibility that Robert had returned back to the house after the withdrawal, but police believe that it had already taken place because Robert was driving Mary's car, and that's the car that he fled in. Firefighters were able to tell that Mary was shot in the back of the head, and Brittany and Bobby had their throats cut from ear to ear. Robert disappeared and was the only person of interest on April 14th, 2001, which is, I feel like, a pretty good person of interest considering everything. April 20th was the last time police had any evidence of Robert's whereabouts when police found Mary's Toyota in Tonto National Forest near Young, Arizona, about 100 miles north of Scottsdale. Police also found the family dog, Blue, underneath the car, tired, hungry, and agitated. Police also found a hat identical to the one Robert was wearing in the ATM video footage that they found. And police found human piles of dookie near the car. Police searched only one of the caves that was near the area of the car, while the dozens of other caves in that area were left untouched. Some of the caves have intricate tunnels connecting several different caves to each other, going on for miles beneath the surface. Professional cavers have theorized that Robert used the system to hide from police, or he killed himself in the tunnels, or he died from low oxygen levels in the tunnels. Professional cavers have visited these caves multiple times, and they have never found anything on these visits. Nothing relating to Robert, nothing really showing that there was anybody living there or hiding out there. Let's see. The Toyota was discovered less than a mile from the Fort Apache Indian Reservation, which police never searched. And a couple reported seeing a man resembling Robert walking on a nearby road. They didn't call in the tip immediately because they didn't know really too much about it, but when the police had released the details of where they found the car, that's when they called it in. An acquaintance excuse me, of Robert, of the Fisher's family, said that her husband had gone camping with Robert in the same area where the car was found shortly before April 10th. According to her, Robert was extremely familiar with the area. Possibly he was potentially scouting out the area. July 19th, an arrest warrant was issued for Robert for 3 counts of first-degree murder and 1 account of arson. My goodness. He was also charged with unlawful flight from authority, The FBI has offered a reward for $100,000 for information leading to Robert's capture. By April 2003, the FBI had received hundreds of leads, but they had only been either inconclusive or false leads. In February 2004, police had arrested a man in Vancouver, Canada, with striking resemblance to Robert. He was missing a tooth where Robert had had a gold tooth. He also had a surgical scar on his back, similar to one Robert had. His fingerprints, however, did not match those of Robert's. He was held by Canadian police for about a week, but was then released. There are theories that his fingerprints could have been altered, but there is no scarring or damage to prove that on his fingertips. So that theory is kind of to the birds. I did find a couple other theories of what people think could have happened or what Robert is basically up to right now. Because Robert had previously suggested to friends that he had thought about suicide, some think he has already passed away. Whether it be by his own doing or naturally or the wilderness, most likely he passed away near the car or near where the car was found, and the body just hasn't turned up yet. Others still think that he is alive and assumed a new identity. Another theory is Robert hitchhiked away from the car, possibly with help from an accomplice. Some say he could be surviving off the land in that area, somewhere near where the car was found. But others say that that land in the area is hard to forage for food, as well as there would be some kind of shelter or some kind of something showing that someone is living up there. And there has been a lot of what is the word I'm thinking of? Foot traction, foot movement. There has been a lot of people that have been up in that area that they have not seen any signs of anybody living up there. Let's see. Others say he could be living in a small town and working for cash. Or he could be in a big city, just kind of blending in with the general population. Or he could have crossed over into Mexico, which it was in the early 2000s, so it was a lot easier to cross on over there. Robert is considered armed and extremely dangerous with connections to Florida and New Mexico. Police have released a new photo of him, aged, of what they think he could look like. So if you see him, maybe let someone know. But he is still out there. I think it's very interesting that there are so many theories of what Robert could be doing, and I'm definitely interested to see what you guys think, if Robert is still alive, just living under a different identity, or if he passed away and is no longer with us. Definitely interesting. On to the next. We are looking into the Devil's Highway, Route 666. It has since been changed to US 491 and US 191. But back in the day, there was a route called 666. It was for 135 miles long from north to south, going from New Mexico, Utah, and Arizona. Wait, there was 4 states. Maybe it was only 3. New Mexico, Utah, and Arizona. There were about 15 to 20 deaths a year. And here are some of the theories of what people thought was going on that Devil's Highway. Theories. Satan's Sedan. A black sedan would appear after sunset on the highway. Travelers who saw the black sedan mentioned that as the sun started to set, they started to get a really anxious feeling and started to get fearful and just very uneasy. They claimed that they saw headlights appear from behind them and rapidly caught up to them. Some say that they pulled over so the car could pass in order to avoid a collision. And some people also said that the car would speed past them at an extremely close vicinity to their own car. And others noted that when they looked back in the rearview mirror, that there were no longer headlights and the car just seemed to have vanished. There were some questions of if the travelers were just getting super anxious and paranoid while they were driving at night on this long road, if it was making them slightly hallucinate, or if the devil is really just kind of fucking around with people in a black sedan and just giving people little mini panic attacks driving real fast in the middle of the night. Another theory is the hounds of hell. These supernatural dogs have been seen to run as fast as a moving car, regardless of how fast the car is going. They are supposedly responsible for multiple incidents, as well as deaths on the highway, accidents, as well as deaths on the highway, Ow. You might be asking if these hounds look like normal dogs, and some people have reported that they have razor sharp teeth and strength enough to shred tires to pieces. Some travelers have also claimed that the hounds will jump into the car by a window and maul whoever is in the car. There is a lore that kind of goes back to ancient Greece with the legends of Cerberus, the three-headed guardian for the underworld, and it is considered that the hounds of hell are servants to the underworld. The next theory of this Devil's Highway is evil spirits of semis. Those that have had car troubles on this Devil's Highway, Route 666, overheating, flat tires, etc., said that once they pulled their car off the side of the road, they reported seeing a semi-truck speeding, zooming past them. Many have claimed that the truck seemed to be aiming right for them, either getting hit by the semi or nearly missed by the semi. It is believed that the spirit that is driving the semi is angry and just hates anything that is alive on the road, so he's just aiming to get you on out of there. Pale spirits. Many angry spirits are said to live along Route 66, which I've heard of many of these angry spirits, but I couldn't really find like any history for them. Also, I found one spirit that seems to be friendly, and it is a reoccurring young girl that is seen standing on the side of the road. She's wearing a white gown, and no one really knows where she came from or what her story is or her origin is. But people do report that she seems just very strange and she seems sad. And there are people that have pulled over to see if she's all right. And when they get closer or try to approach her, and she just disappears into thin air. There are also instances of disappearances and time loss. Many people who have traveled this road have seemed to have disappeared without a trace. Some cases a vehicle has been found or a personal possession has been found. while the person themselves have not been located. While other cases, there is no sign of the vehicle, no sign of possession, and no sign of the person either. Some people who have traveled this road have disappeared for several hours or even several days. They reappear, having zero recollection of time and didn't realize that they had been gone for as long as they had been. And there is also some sense of time being lost, and they're just not able to explain like what they were doing. They have no idea like where the time went or what they were doing or what happened during the period of them being gone. So those are just some little interesting theories. I'm definitely intrigued to drive this highway now, even if it's not Route 666 anymore. There are still instances happening on this road after the name change and everything. A lot of people think that it's just some alcohol abuse that is happening on this long stretch of road, and that's where all the accidents and deaths are coming from. But it is definitely interesting to have people see similar or the same things and having multiple accounts of what they think is real, like the semi or a sedan or the white girl in the gown. So let me know what your theory is on this Route 666. And if you have driven this route, US 491 and US 191, let me know if you felt anything, if you felt a little anxiety while driving it. I know when I did my cross-country trip from California to Florida, I definitely had some anxiety driving through like the long stretches of country roads that there was just zero city lights anywhere, and there were no street lights either, and it was just pitch black, and the only thing I could really see is what my headlights showed in the road. So that definitely gave me some anxiety, but I didn't start hallucinating or seeing anything. So it's definitely interesting to see if it's this specific highway that people are just getting anxious about, or if it is something going on there. Let me know what you think. That is it for this episode. I know it is a little shorter than my last two, but I am trying to get back into the swing of things, so be patient with me, please. I do appreciate the support. I know a couple people have messaged me. My friends have messaged me saying they've been listening and they've subscribed to Spotify or YouTube channel, and I just really appreciate the support I've been getting. I hope to be more on track of things now, and hopefully we don't get sick again. But I hope everyone had an amazing Halloween. I hope you didn't have snow. Unless you wanted snow, then I hope you got snow. But I hope you had an amazing Halloween. Send in your costumes if you had any. I definitely love to see those. Costumes are always my favorite part of the season. Also, when is an appropriate time to put up Christmas decoration? Because I tell you what, I am not usually one to put up Christmas decorations early, but when I was taking down all my Halloween decorations, I definitely thought about it. And the only reason I thought about it was because I was already up there. I was taking down the roof lights, and I was like, man, I could just put Christmas lights right back up, and I wouldn't have to make like multiple trips or multiple days out of it. You know what I'm saying? But I definitely think I will be waiting until the weekend after Thanksgiving. But let me know. I tried starting a poll. This brought me to something I noticed. I tried starting a poll on Facebook for my last episode, and apparently Facebook is not doing polls anymore because of how many arguments. We'll go with arguments. Got started because of all the different polls that were being put out. So I cannot put polls up on Facebook. I will try and figure out another way to do polls, because I'm definitely interested to see what everyone thinks about some of these theories, like the Devil's Highway, or even with like if Robert's still alive, or what you think he's doing. Definitely interested about that though. I will try and figure out the poll situation. If not, I will probably put a poll up on my Instagram story. I am behind on my Instagram stories and stuff like that, but I'm trying to do better. It's a lot. Social media is a lot of work. Holy guacamole. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I hope you had an amazing Halloween. I will see you tomorrow, technically. If you tune into my Patreon, I am finally putting up 2 episodes. Sorry it's late. But yeah, follow me on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, rate, review, maybe leave a comment if you feel like it, and I will see you next week. Bye.